Irish guy, and right, today I'm going to take a look at every Premier League club and just find one player who you have to sign this summer. Right, let's go. This is my first ever video doing Ipswich Town in the Premier League. I already know this is going to feel weird. Right, let's go. Arsenal, Aurelien Tchouameni. Look, I think we can all see that Arsenal are desperate for a serious DM. I think Mikel Arteta has realised by now that Declan Rice has more to his game than just sitting in the middle like a defensive sponge. If the Gunners are able to go out there and buy a true, all-out defensive midfielder, I think this will probably take this Arsenal side to the next level. I mean, it's quite mental. Rice started out as a centre back, and yet now this bloke keeps creeping his way further and further up the pitch. By the time he's 27, it'll probably be some freakish centre forward. Either way, it'll never change the fact that he's got the loyalty of Kevin Hart. Look, it will be difficult to prize 24-year-old midfield destroyer Aurelien Tchouameni out of Real Madrid. But I mean, this is the same chaotic club which booted Claude Makelele out just so they could fund David Beckham. This is a club who do not prioritise defensive midfielders. That is not a position that cost us Florentino Perez to excitedly cough up his Cocoa Pops. If Arsenal go big, just a huge £80 million bid for all of their summer efforts in designing this French international star. I think this could be like when they got their paws on Mesut Ozil, somebody who looked like he was unsellable at Real Madrid. I mean, for a club so focused on superficial image, I don't think the hierarchy were ever truly comfortable to be paying the wages of something that looked like a Finding Nemo fish. Aston Villa, Alisson Maximin. Look, I know Aston Villa fans are going to think that I am insane. You are finally back in the Champions League, and I'm tipping your marquee ambitious signing to come from the Saudi Pro League? No, lads, when we see top-class footballers choose to go and have a luxury holiday in one of these extremely weaker leagues, I'm shocked why no European team ever comes back in for them. They just get forgotten about. How has nobody made a move for Oscar in the 7 years he's been in China? Do you think this former Chelsea and Brazil star was truly happy to be playing in a broken football league where half the clubs have disintegrated into dust? I'm guessing the Chinese Super League now resembles the set of I Am Legend, with so many closed down institutions. Give it 10 years and it'll probably look like Mad Max. Sam Maximin is a wonderful player, and he has the potential to be utterly devastating. And I'm sorry, but to be wearing the number 97 shirt at Al Ahly at the age of 27, a complete waste of his skill. Lads, this man is a world-class dribbler. I mean, to be fair, so was my grandma when eating porridge in the morning. I think he can be Villa's secret weapon in the Champions League. He will tie top-class European defenders in knots. But sign him early, like next week, because this is a man who will need a full pre-season. Because I would imagine after a year of an easy, comfy life in Saudi, this is someone who's probably bringing a chocolate cake to training every single day. As we speak, he's probably on to his 5th ice cream of the day. So Villa, act now. Bournemouth, Calvin Phillips. Look, I realise that many people will think that this is an insult to the Cherries. Me suggesting they sign Calvin Phillips, a midfielder whose career is an utter mess, a flop at Manchester City, an embarrassment on loan at West Ham. I mean, was he even at City's title celebrations? I didn't see him anywhere. All I saw was a drunken Jack Grealish nearly falling off the bus. Oh wow, that would have been anticlimactic. A £100 million star having the same fate as Humpty Dumpty. Imagine how many security guards would have been fired after scraping this fella's expensive corpse off the floor. But like, this could be Phillips's Jack Rodwell-esque descent. Another England international who had his career spoilt on the Manchester City bench. He was never the same since and was just released by Sydney FC. But I still think Calvin is worth a punt. Look, Bournemouth USA captain defensive midfielder Tyler Adams has been absolutely destroyed by injuries since arriving last summer from Leeds. I mean, considering he was the one who replaced Phillips at Ellen Road, why not have them both? Surely one of them is going to be fit. If Andoni Iraola can breathe some confidence back into this guy and give anything close to the sort of performances that got him into the England team for the last Euros, then I think he'd be a pretty clever £15 million buy. Brentford, Morgan Whittaker. Look, I think it is time for Brentford to take a championship punt. Go get rid of Mikkel Damsgaard. That Denmark number 10 simply not worked, probably due to the fact that he's a limp, fragile nerd who looks like he hasn't even eaten a protein bar since 2014. I don't want to be mean, but he doesn't look like a footballer. He looks like someone who spends every weekend crammed in a sweaty comic book shop playing Warhammer against grown men who get nervous speaking to a female barista at Costa Coffee. Go replace Damsgaard with Morgan Whittaker, a 23-year-old English attacking midfielder at Plymouth Argyle who just hammered in 20 goals last season. This kid was so good that he was even having Lazio trying to buy him in January. Yeah, I know, it's weird. I wouldn't have thought Maurizio Sarri would have even known what the Plymouth was. He doesn't strike me as somebody who'll have a photo of Pieface on his fridge. Look, I know Whittaker is probably intrigued about what it'd be like to play football under a legend like Wayne Rooney, but just forget about his playing days, Morgan. I think we can all see that Rooney, the manager, probably mumbles his way through team talks while snacking on a packet of Skittles. I mean, who's this number 2 going to be next season? Angry Ginge? Just go to the Prem, Morgan. Brighton, Ryan Shirky. I think we've all established by now that Brighton are the new Stoke. No, not the ugly defensive gargoyle bruising Stoke side of Tony Pulis. No, the more modern one, which tried to play good football and who thought they were clever when they convinced massive names to join, like Bojan, Shaqiri and Jesse. I mean, the Seagulls already did that last summer by somehow snapping up Ansu Fati from Barcelona on loan. I mean, the joke is on them though, because they've been contributing to 80% of his 180 grand a week wage, and he's had the impact of half the Jester cornflakes. Look, the Fati experiment failed, but go again. Ryan Shirky is that wonderful attacking midfielder who is no longer hot property. This France underage international is still only 20, but all the buzz is gone. Here's the good news though. Since Christmas, he has helped Lyon pull off a miracle. Rock bottom of the league in December, but under their interim boss Pierre Sage, they pulled off a mini Leicester resurgence. And I mean, forget about going down to League 2. They've just finished 6th and qualified for the Europa League. If you had told me at Christmas that Lyon, bottom of the French league Lyon, would qualify for the Europa League and Newcastle wouldn't, I think you were just eating a poison banana. The Lyon players are flying. Turkey has just 1 year left in his deal. Chuck in a cheeky £20 million bid and a new Brighton boss, who, let's be honest, is probably going to be Graham Potter. They could have a star. Chelsea, Gabriel Jesus. This might sound weird to you. Chelsea going back in for a player already rejected them 2 years ago, but I think this deal makes sense. I already know that Gabriel Jesus is not happy at Arsenal. He doesn't need to tell me. We all know. This is someone who openly burst into tears when Pep Guardiola left him out of the Man City team. He's someone who stormed out of the Etihad due to a lack of game time. He ain't suddenly going to be cool with warming a bench in North London. Right now, he's just a bit part substitute, squirming his way to 4 goals a season. This isn't Jesus. These are Eddie and Kedia stats. He's probably so embarrassed by this season. He's probably forbid his mum from checking Wikipedia. Go to Stamford Bridge and then Enzo Maresca. Build this team around the Brazil striker. Someone who's been left out of Brazil's Copa America squad, by the way. His career is in tatters, but I still think he's quality. His link-up play is majestic. Think how beautifully he would play as a sort of false 9 in this Chelsea team. I mean, lads, Fernando Torres once got over 20 goals for Chelsea in a Europa League season. How many goals do you think Jesus is going to get against teams from Azerbaijan, Moldova, and Dublin? Go on, Chelsea. Chuck in a £40 million bid and I reckon he's yours. Crystal Palace, Callum Hudson-Odoi. Crystal Palace are now a bunch of street ballers. That is what their team represents to me now. So I just want to see them add to it. Just make them the swazziest bunch of Jeremy Lynches in all the league. Go out there and chuck in a £20 million bid for Nottingham Forest winger Callum Hudson-Odoi, and suddenly chucking him into an attack with Eze and Olise. Oh, I might just drool all over my ankles. That would be saucy. Everton, Callum Wilson. Callum Wilson is quality. I know he's absolutely injury prone, but I don't care. This is someone who's just 12 goals away from joining the 100 goal Premier League club. Yes, a move to Everton is a bit of a come down from January when he had both AC Milan and Atletico Madrid sniffing around him whilst he was in the Newcastle treatment room, but still, even at the age of 32, I still think he's a significantly better player than Dominic Calvert-Lewin. If Sean Dyche can get this thick, robust centre forward into his team as the focal point, someone who, don't forget, banged in 18 Premier League goals the season before last, I think he would be one hell of a signing. I know he's so injury prone. Yet swear he's one of the burglars off Home Alone, but he is an absolute goal machine. With just 1 year left in the deal, £10 million should do the trick. Fulham, Alexander Sorloth. I have a horrible feeling about Rodrigo Muniz. I reckon we are looking at the next Papi Cisse, a striker who's able to turn it on for 6 months, convince everyone that he's a world-class beater, only to then melt like a Kinder Egg in the sun for the rest of his career. I mean, don't forget, Cisse scored 13 goals in his first 14 Premier League games. I remember thinking he was like prime Drogba. Turned out to be nothing more than a newer Tabby Cass. If I were Marco Silva, I would not place all my eggs in the Muniz basket. No, go out there and get another striker. And you know what's really fashionable these days? Being Norwegian. Odegaard and Haaland are not the only stars of this golden generation. 28-year-old striker Alexander Sorloth was just 1 goal off winning the Golden Boot in La Liga. 23 goals for Villarreal. And I think he's a Crystal Palace flop. This man has already proved at Trabzonspor, Real Sociedad and Villarreal. He has goals in him. Go on, Fulham. I mean, yeah, this man has probably bad memories of living in London, and you might have to drag him kicking and screaming onto the plane, but I think he has potential quality in the Prem. Ipswich Town, Daniel James. Look, Ipswich might surprisingly have a far bigger reach than just going for a championship rugrat such as Daniel James. For all I know, they might be about to pull off a madness and sign Tammy Abraham. Who knows with Ipswich Town anymore, but I think James is actually a Premier League player. He was just sort of embarrassed by getting a Manchester United transfer. That should have never happened. That was just Solskjaer still thinking with his Cardiff City brain. James is, and always has been, destined for an a Premier League proven player. An absolute speed demon on the wing. He scored 13 goals for Leeds last season. He crashed the crossbar in the playoff final for £17 million. I think he'd be really useful. Leicester, Aaron Ramsdale. I think this is a transfer which just fits. Aaron Ramsdale should be worried. When goalkeepers lose their starting positions at big clubs, sometimes they never recover. First of all, Joe Hart was someone who was almost arrogant when he was England #1, winning Premier Leagues and Golden Gloves. But his confidence has been chewed into wet spaghetti so much, failing at Torino and West Ham, warming the bench at Burnley, being at Tottenham #3, who Nuno Santo told he didn't want. His confidence has been eroded so much over the years. He has been humbled so much that he's now chosen to retire on top at Celtic, escaping before he has his confidence wrecked any further. That could be Ramsdale if he doesn't get the right move. And luckily for him, Leicester City have never replaced Kasper Schmeichel. Ramsdale is a similar type, a loud personality. Go to this brilliant club, become their #1 goalie, and this will save your career. Even if it's just an initial loan move, make this transfer happen. Liverpool, Manuel Locatelli. Liverpool need a hungry defensive midfielder with a point to prove. Manuel Locatelli is that guy. At the age of 26, this Juventus star has been left out of Italy's Euro 2024 squad. You might think that's a bad thing, and it is. But I reckon he's going to be angry next season. Go and get a move to Anfield. And yes, it is a risk, I know. I know this almost stinks of the Aquilani nightmare from 15 years ago, but I still think he's quality. Remember how good he was at the last Euros? And he's played nearly every available minute of Serie A football this season. He could play either as a #6 or as a #8. He'd actually be a £30 million coup. Man City, Bruno Guimaraes. Look, how can you make Manchester City any more perfect? You can't. Even me to be them to spend £100 million on Bruno Guimaraes' release clause in June. They don't even really need it. But listen, Matheus Nunes is clearly now Pep's new version of Calvin Phillips. There's some tortured soul rotting on the bench like a sour ice cream. Bruno would not be bought to do that. He is someone who could be the long-term heir to Kevin De Bruyne, who turns 33 next month, don't forget. Next season, midfield three of Rodri, De Bruyne, and Bruno would be delicious beyond belief. Although, if he really does go and steal Lucas Paqueta's dream transfer, whilst he's probably crying on the toilet and fretting over a potential 10-year ban, then this won't do much for their bromance. What next? Bruno elopes with Paqueta's wife. Man United Mohamed Kudus. Man United need a player to wake up their fans, someone to get the supporters off the edge of their seats and have them choking on their prawn cocktail sandwiches. Anthony was supposed to be that guy. He was supposed to be the sparkling mini Ronaldinho. A new Neymar, but he really wasn't. He's more closer to Bebe and Obertan. Manchester United signed the wrong entertainer from Ajax that year. Kudus is absolutely special. The thing Brighton and Hove Albion were sniffing around both him and Cole Palmer last season, only to wind up with none. I mean, they've both been the two best signings of the 23-24 season. And Brighton, their fatty doesn't work. De Zerbi must have felt rightly sick to his teeth. Watching Kudus at West Ham, it's like watching an athletic Dimitri Payet, which is a scary proposition. I mean, he had all the skill in the world, but I mean, scoring bicycle kicks, oh no. Not for a guy who looked like he ate cheeseburgers at half time. Kudus, 18 goals and 7 assists from the wing in his debut season at West Ham. That is scary. Manchester United go heavy and throw in an £85 million bid. This could be like when they got Carlos Tevez out of West Ham. I just think Kudus is absolutely special. Newcastle, Miguel Gutierrez. Newcastle need a left back. I feel like I've been saying this every year since 2011. This has been a problem position for the club ever since Jose Enrique left. Nearly every left back they've signed since has been a false dawn. I mean, I guess Davi Santon was okay, but Jose Mourinho once built him up as being the next Maldini. He wasn't. Incredible. I remember the excitement on Tyneside when Danny Rose signed 6 months after playing in a Champions League final. Yeah, what at Newcastle? He was like a Teletubby who had just eaten 7 pizzas the morning of the match. He probably had a handful of chicken nuggets stuffed on his sock. Miguel Gutierrez is worth a punt. A 22-year-old left back who did spend a decade at Real Madrid and now has been excellent in defence for high-flying Girona. He might not want to give up Champions League football for Newcastle, but offer him a fat £120,000 a week wage, and I think Eddie could twist his arm. Nottingham Forest, Keylor Navas. Nottingham Forest need a proper goalie. Why not? Why not bring back Keylor Navas? Didn't he enjoy his loan spell at Forest before? He's still only 37. Go and get him back from PSG. Southampton, Chiduzi Ogbeni. Chiduzi Ogbeni is a Premier League winger. I'm sorry, but he is. Come on, Southampton. Go and rescue this former Limerick man from Luton Town's relegation. Snap him up for a cheap £6 million and get him in your squad. He's a quality speed merchant off the bench. Tottenham, Ivan Toney. Look, you will note that I've not recommended that the Champions League team snap up Ivan Toney this summer because, lads, his form has been horrendous. He is currently suffering the worst goal drought of his career since his Wigan Athletic days. I'm not even totally sure Gareth Southgate should be bringing him to the Euros off the back of a 4-goal season, but he is worth a punt for a Europa League side like Spurs. I mean, there's still a gaping hole in their attack after the Harry Kane exit, so £50 million for Toney, but just hope he still got it. West Ham, Morgan Gibbs White. Look, West Ham need to replace Paqueta. This is a man who's probably going to feel the full force of FIFA and will soon be banned for at least a year, if he's very lucky. That is my prediction. So, Julian Lopetegui, he needs to go out there and find a luxury number 10 guy backing the Molyneux for his former midfield talisman, Morgan Gibbs-White. Come on, I mean, David Sullivan, this won't be cheap. But, I mean, what happened to that £100 million paycheck for Rice from last summer? I'm sure you haven't spent it all on chicken wings and wine. Wolves, Alexander Lacazette. Yeah. Since returning to Lyon in 2022, Alexander Lacazette has scored 53 goals in 74 games for Lyon. I mean, this man spent half of last season in a relegation battle, and yet was still only second in the French goal-scoring charts to Mbappe. At the age of 33, he is still far too good for the French league. I'm sorry, but get him back to the Prem. He's still got goals in him. Anyway, that's the what do you think? Let me know in the comment section below what signing do you want to make for your club. Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to get a like, share, and subscribe as always. I'll talk to you in a while.